the European Commission and many stakeholders. The call for interest launched to the member states by the Commission in June received a great success because 26 countries are so far represented in the funding partners of this partnership. So we can expect a budget around 200 euros. We hope this partnership should last around 10 years and should start its activities next year in the first semester of the year. So in the frame of this partnership, which will be the first partnership in SSH. For the moment, we have more than 40 partnerships existing at European level, but none on this scientific domain. And we anticipate launching a maximum of 7 joint transnational calls. And of course, a set of additional activities from training to networking, knowledge transfer, capacity building, and so on. So this partnership, Resilient Cultural Heritage, will cover challenges from the limited research and evidence regarding adaptation strategies and the impact of climate and environmental change on cultural heritage, to the need for enhanced understanding, use, and recognition of how cultural heritage can inform policies and guide the implementation measures, including the role of traditional and local knowledges. So the themes you are exploring in your projects resonate strongly with the partnership's future challenges. And in fact, one of the keyword clusters you pre-submitted today centers precisely on cultural heritage resilience, and that alignment is no coincidence. And it underscores that your work will be highly relevant to wider efforts to achieve a resilient cultural heritage. Of course, we will keep you informed as the partnership strategic research and innovation agenda is finalized and as each call is launched. And in the meantime, we look forward to your discussions today and to supporting the transdisciplinary community of practice you are building together. And it's a great challenge to have researchers from heritage science working together with researchers on environment. And thank you in advance for your engagement, for your enthusiasm. And I will now hand over to my colleague, Petra Mandashid from the JPI Climate. Petra, the floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm actually joining from JPI Climate instead of Petra. She sends
okay.
her.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Just excuse her. She's not doing that well. So, but she sends her regards. I'm very happy to be here instead of her anyway. Just for everyone, an introduction, JPI Climate is doing the call with JPI Cultural Heritage and Belmont Forum. So we are also following the whole progress, of course. From the overview I have, I can say that it's really remarkable how diverse this call is in all, like everything that the 16 funded projects are covering. From wildfires, indigenous knowledge, heritage preservation and libraries. So I myself am very excited to be here and looking forward to know everyone's progress so far. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Kanika. And sorry, I didn't know you were here to represent the JPI Climate. It's a long time we work together to prepare first white paper, and then this call, which had a great success, and I hope we will still work together in the next years, in the coming years. Maybe now I will give the floor to Nicole Arbor for the Belmont Forum. Nicole?
Thank you, Pascal. So hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to see you all virtually. I had the good luck of meeting several of you in Helsinki, and I was really struck by all of the projects. So when I was able to be part of the conversations that were had on the ground in Helsinki, I was really very impressed by the types of projects that we have, as mentioned by some of my colleagues here, the diversity of projects. And I'm after Pascal's announcement, I sent a message to one of my colleagues saying maybe we need to have conversations with this nascent partnership program, because I also have really enjoyed the work that we've been able to do both with JPI Climate and JPI Cultural Heritage. It has been a great pleasure to work with this group and to bring together this fantastic group of projects. And so, you know, other opportunities to think about that in the future would definitely be welcome. But I'm really looking forward to hearing about the projects, particularly the lightning talks. Those are always fun for many reasons, because I get to hear all about the work, but also because it pushes everybody to think about how do you communicate your science in very 150 seconds? Is that it? 150 seconds. So I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys are going to do that, and also to learning about the projects that we can share the amazing work that you guys that is being done on the ground with the communities to inspire other researchers to also participate and apply for funds to do transdisciplinary research, because I'm totally biased, but I definitely believe that if we really want to make change in the world, that we need to do it with the communities directly, and that we have to do this all together. So thank you for all being here, and I look forward to hearing more about where you've gotten since last year, because even last year I was very excited to be part of the conversations.
Thank you very much, Nicole. And I would like to underline that thanks to the collaboration for the Belmont Forum with the Belmont Forum, we managed to involve extra European countries in this call. Okay, Shang-Yun?
Yes, I think now we can go directly to the lightning talks, and I will give floor to Alexander, since he will be the one moderating the whole process, and I will share the slides, master slides from my side. So if you need to, for me to click the next, just let me know and I'll do so.
Yes, hello everyone. I am Alexandre Cosset, the Secretary General of the JPI Cultural Heritage. I will just answer, because I was answering in the chat, the last question about the participation in the partnership. Technically, it is you need to have a funding partner from your country to be able to participate in the transnational calls. But there are some exceptions, but very rare exceptions. So if you are interested, you can contact us, and we can see how we can also help you to find funding partners in your country. So now I have this difficult task to control the timing. So I will call one by one the project representatives. You will see that Shang-Yun has this quite wonderful small clock on the bottom of each slide, so you can control yourself your own timing. So I start with the first project on adaptation traditions and climate change, and I think it's Luke Matthews who is speaking.
Hi everyone. So I'm first, and I see that clock ticking away, so I'll just get going here. You can see and hear me okay, Alexander?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Luke Matthews. I'm with RAND Corporation. I'm based out of our Boston office, so Boston, Massachusetts. One of our study sites is Hoona, Alaska, and the partner there is the Hoona Indian Association which is a federally recognized Native American tribe. Jeremy Grant is our key stakeholder here, and he provided this beautiful image of Hoona, Alaska that they took from a drone. So this is a study of traditional ecological knowledge and how it's socially transmitted within indigenous communities. Particularly, we're examining how much TEK is transmitted vertically within family or clan lineages versus shared more horizontally along more diffuse friendship networks. So we're studying that in 4 study sites. We've at present deployed a structured survey instrument at 2 of the study sites, Hoona, Alaska and Chiapas, Mexico, which is we'll be interviewing people about roughly 30 important traditional resources and how they transmit and learn these resources. And we're going to feed that information back to the communities because information that's transmitted solely vertically in this kind of more protected fashion is the kind of information that might be more susceptible to disruption from climate change, right? Because it's not shared broadly. And so if resources change in their patterns, those clans or families will be more susceptible. So we got started a little later, I think, than some of the other projects because our National Science Foundation is really quite slow. We got started in June. I think we've made good progress, and I look forward to hearing from everyone else and interacting about these topics.
Thank you very much, Matthew. I should precise that you can ask questions in the chat and we will address them later. So feel free to ask anything. Next project is Project Agree with Francesca Giliberto.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will be representing the Agree project instead of Francesca. My name is Mesut Dinler, and from Politecnico di Torino in Turin, in Italy. And our project is Agree, Advancing Cultural Heritage Governance for Resilient Climate Adaptation. At the heart of our project, there's a very simple but powerful idea. The governance of urban heritage should be geared toward climate adaptation. The 3 keywords we have selected aim to present this seemingly very obvious, but in practical, very rarely achievable goal. For the adaptive governance of urban heritage, we are working with 3 case studies. Moncalieri, it is very near to Turin, where I live in northern Italy, the city of Hull in the UK, and Lillehammer in the inland region of Norway. We focus on flood risks in these 3 urban areas, which have historically been affected repeatedly by flooding. The second keyword is the historic urban landscape approach promoted by UNESCO since the early 1910s. This approach has a very simple idea. Urban heritage is different from other forms of heritage because it is inherently dynamic. It changes. No matter what we do, it is destined to change. So let's stop resisting change in the name of conservation and instead embrace it and manage the change. The third keyword is urban resilience. We propose that this historic urban landscape concept can be advanced to help integrate climate adaptation strategies into the processes of decision making. Our intended impact is to influence policymaking at national and local levels. And we want to do this by identifying existing policy gaps and opportunities, creating a digital platform, and integrating stakeholder perspectives in the development of a governance tool. In terms of emerging results, we have conducted extensive policy analysis at national and local levels. We have developed georeferenced risk exposure analysis for our case studies, and we organized local workshops with stakeholders. Finally, we are also exploring synergies with other projects focused on risk mapping, urban resilience, and participatory governance. And we are very excited about the possibilities of future collaborations. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we go to the next project, ARCA, and Vera is presenting, I think.
Yeah, hello, everyone. My name is Vera Kuklina. I'm from George Washington University, and our project is collaborative effort of 4 universities: University of Vienna, Nansen Environmental and Remote Sensing Center, and Art Science International Institute. Our keywords are biocultural diversity, knowledge co-creation, and Arctic cities. So our goal is to identify biocultural heritage by co-creating definitions and exploring what biocultural heritage means, sharing stories with elders, including indigenous elders, and working closely with communities. We have local partners in Fairbanks and Anchorage and Kirkenes, and then we are going to co-create artistic products, including mural in Fairbanks and Anchorage, and some artistic performances in Kirkenes. So we are focusing on biocultural heritage defined by cultural values, beliefs, traditional ecological knowledge, human-natural relations, and focusing on environment and landscapes that provides those opportunities. Then we are looking at the processes like cultural transformations, anthropogenic modifications, and ecosystem processes to together figure out how we can achieve equity and justice, climate adaptation, and sustainable landscape management while we are conducting our project. Oh, even less.
Okay, you have a few seconds to add a word if you want. Thank you very much. I will continue with the project Atlas now, and Pilar Ortiz is presenting.
Thank you very much. Atlas is a project which title is Studying Symbiotic Scenario, Linking Heritage, Asset and Green Areas to Prepare Historic Cities to Face Climate Change. Our main goal is developing interdisciplinary methodological models and digital tools that will be capable of monitoring climate hazards, assessing the vulnerability of built cultural heritage and green infrastructure, both together, as well as improving emergency response in 5 European historic cities. Indeed, we are working in 3 cities in Spain, Seville, Valencia, and Antequera, and 1 city in France, Grenoble, and 1 in Italy, Treviso, as the 3 main universities involved in the project at University Pablo de Olavide, University Ca' Foscari from Venice, Italy, and University Grenoble Alpes from France. I have to say that we have carried out a drill at this moment in a place that is World Heritage in Antequera in Spain, and we have also working with some problems because the dana has affected one of our stakeholders in Valencia, that is the cultural heritage from the Institute of Cultural Heritage. According to our 3 main keywords, ecosystem dynamics, we are trying to analyze the cultural value assigned to historic city and the traditional function of climate protection. We are studying the impact of climate change on the degradation of built heritage and urban green infrastructure. Venice is in charge, and we have some data at this moment. We are evaluating the potential protective function of urban green infrastructure near built cultural heritage in Treviso, where Universidad Ca' Foscari is the main leader in this part. And we are using RIS5 and software that was developed here in our university to monitor climate hazard. About resilient heritage, that is the second keyword that we have chosen. We are developing digital decision tools to facilitate data collection on hazards, vulnerability, and resilience. In this sense, in the last drill that we carry out in Antequera, we have begun with the surveys. At this moment, we have opinions of firefighter, cultural heritage manager, and different persons in charge of cultural heritage about resilience, vulnerability of fires and hazards. And we will study citizen behavior during emergency and propose solution. to improve resilience since the University of France. The idea is that we will work in the 3 keywords, that is climate adaptation, developing best practice for preventive. In this sense, we have translated some of our manuals at this moment to English and Spain, but we are also producing in French and Italian, and we will want also to translate to Chinese and Arab. And we want also at the end to integrate all this information into a GIS model. At this moment, we have maintained a meeting with Scott Orr and Julie Desarnaud that come from other projects that we met in Helsinki. And the idea is to look for synergies to work together in the future.
Thank you, Pilar, and it's nice to see that you already established some connections with other projects. So I will give the floor now to the project Coastal Tales.
Okay, thank you. So Coastal Tales is asking how narratives of traditional practices can help deliver innovative, local, place-based climate adaptations. We're working with local northern coastal communities at the front line of coastal change in Wales, Dublin, and in Alaska. What we're doing is collecting stories of Indigenous and traditional knowledges using ethnographies, oral histories, and participant observation. Looking at how these traditions are lived and adapted, and this lies at the heart of Coastal Tales. In Alaska and Dublin, there is a strong intergenerational aspect in the transfer of adaptive knowledge about fishing, associated lifeways, and the environment. Youth are being actively engaged in heritage and history. In Alaska, they're collecting stories of traditional fishing practices for the museum archives with the aim of creating cultural vitality, pride, and healthful living in their changing environment. In Dublin, the focus is moving away from hard concrete sea defences towards SOFA traditional ecocentric solutions such as oyster beds and eelgrass to support more resilient biodiversity. In Wales, we've been working with 2 communities at Carrymore, literally the love of the sea, and with the Coracle Boys in the Tarry River. Here we see that community practice underpins Welsh stories. Traditional foodstuffs are being revived in regenerative ocean farming in a unique community business model that functions like a self-sustained ecosystem nourishing biodiversity. The coraclers tell us more worrying stories of declining fish stocks, and indeed Wales is at the war, really at the front line of salmon demise in northern waters, and the imminent loss of sustainable small-scale traditional, indeed indigenous fishing practices as a result of external regulations. And that's about it. There's a lot more.
I guess, thank you very much for playing this game, this difficult game. Next project is QMO with Ismael.
Yeah, thank you. Our project is titled Cultural Heritage in Motion, which the focus of the project is to bring to limelight the often overlooked cultural heritage that is attached to mobilities. So we are looking at 2 case studies of fishing community and coastal communities in Senegal and Thailand, then Fulani pastoralists also in Senegal and one in Ethiopia. Our keywords that we are working with is adaptive mobile cultures on land and water. We submitted a conceptual paper on this adaptive mobile culture to foreground what mobile cultures and how they're adapting in changing climates. Then on the indigenous environmental epistemologies, we are looking at how the people understand and relate to the changes in the environment and what they observe on climate change over time. This narrative, we are planning to build a climate storing scenario using the past experience, present and future experience with the Nectaris, using their indigenous knowledge. Then we are also looking at how climate and other changes have enhanced some losses and damages in their mobile livelihoods, which includes, especially for the fishing community, the increasing sea temperature has led to depletion of some fishing stocks and loss of livelihood assets in their community. For the Fulani pastoralists, they mostly complain about lack of rainfall, which reduce rainfall over the years has caused them to change their mobility pattern, and it's making them to engage in other non-pastoral activities. So we are still trying to articulate how these loss and damages can be compensated for and how the adaptive mobile cultures can be preserved. We've just returned, most of the partners that are involved have just returned from the field. We are still analyzing our data. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ismail. Next project is the project Fire Cult with Yanis Koudouris. Is Yanis here?
I double checked in the participant. It seems that he's not here yet. So
Okay, and I call Julie Desarnous.
Hello, everyone. Can you do all the clicking already? Because it's a animation and first lesson learned no clicking with a pitch, elevator speech. So I'm Julie Desarnous, and I'm going to present a refresh project, Water Cycle for Resilience Heritage. So we all know that climate change goes hand in hand with extreme events like floods, storm, heat waves, or even droughts. So, and if you look at that, in the main factor controlling the impact of climate change on heritage sites is water in excess when you have floods, so under stress when you have droughts. So in this context, the project aims to understand the role of the water cycle on the conservation of cultural heritage sites with an holistic approach, considering water dynamic at 3 scales. Firstly, at a natural environmental scale, where we want the project want to see the influence of the soil and vegetation surrounding the building on the water dynamic inside the building envelope. At the second scale, so the monument scale, we really want to study the impact of building materials on the transport of this liquid water through the envelope and into the interior, creating an indoor climate. And at the collection scales, the large scales, the quality of the indoor climate set by the evaporation of the water from the envelope across the collection is investigating, as well as the temperature and humidity thresholds in relation to mechanical damage, natural aging for several types of objects within the collections. So we're going to see the water dynamics at 3 scales and study it in relation with climate scenarios, because our objective is to identify action leveraged at heritage site scale to optimize the conservation of cultural heritage while improving water management and reducing energy consumption. So we really want to contribute to the management of our built heritage, by reinforcing the link between academia and also heritage site manager for optimal exploitation of the water within heritage site, like for instance, redesigning gardens if in order to have a better exploitation of the water transport, for instance. But also we really want to develop a decision support tool to assess the adaptive capacity of our heritage structure, because we really think that there are resources for climate mitigation and adaptation through optimal water management. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Julie. Now it is time for the retrace project, yes, and I call Charlotte Heinsleff.
I am jumping in for Charlotte. Pascal,
sorry.
I'm no worries. I'm the PI from Norway, so I'm joining here from the EU General Assembly in Vienna, where all the geoscientists are meeting this week. So yeah, this project, we're a mix of people from France, from Penn State in the US, and from Norway. And we work with indigenous and other local communities in 3 field sites: Finnmark, Copper Valley in Alaska, and the Marquesian Archipelago, so French Polynesia, and trying to learn from these populations about their adaptation strategies to changes in their environment, especially also the climate related to their cultural heritage. And the aim is to create a decision support system, so a decision support tool that could be used by local stakeholders, for example, in collaboration with these populations, but also integrate so quantitative data for this, not only qualitative interviews. Yeah, and we listed the potential synergies for this project: ATCC, Coastal Tales, Sasha, and Sea Change. Yeah. Any questions? I'm available.
Thank you for taking the time during your General Assembly to participate, and I hope everything is going well. Now I call the Reverdi project and Uta Potgieser.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Uta Potgieser from TU Delft, and I'm in this meeting together with Emmeline Lin, our postdoc researcher. Our Reverdi project is dealing with national libraries. We are 3, let's say, countries involved: the Netherlands, Switzerland, and the UK, with the national libraries of each country. The specific question that we have is the real versus digital, which gives also a name to our project. And it reflects on the changes that the cultural heritage, the collections in libraries in general, but in national libraries in particular, have faced over the last years, and how sustainability of those institutions could be improved in a comparison of physical collections and digital collection. And that's why we have the apples and oranges, apples and pears and bananas over there, because we are not yet sure whether this comparison can be made easily, also across the countries. We have started our project also last June, and the postdoc researchers joined us a little bit later in September and in November. And we have started in particular with an environmental assessment, which is the most clear and the most measurable to our experience so far. And we are now dealing with the social indicators, which are quite different and more qualitative. The same for economic indicators, which we have not yet defined. The nice thing is that we have connections with urban projects, but also the transferability to other GLAM institutions. And in general, how can we define assessment methods based on the life cycle assessments for those type of institutions? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uta. It is time now to call Scott Allan Orr for the Sasha project.
Thank you very much, Alexandre, for that introduction. I'm here to say just a little bit about the Sasha project, what the main goal is, and a little bit our progress to date. I like to highlight our team, since I really like that people did that. So we're working across the US, Norway and Italy and the UK, but also with some societal partners internationally and some additional consultants based elsewhere. And really the thrust of our project is to think about how we actually assess the risks of climate change. And it's been really nice to hear that lots of projects that we've already heard about today are including risk assessment, really trying to understand what the climate change challenges are in particular heritage contexts. And so this project is really focusing on the challenge of scale and scalability. So how to make sure that we have methods that allow us to work both across different physical, spatial scales, but also temporal scales in terms of decision making. And that's really the focus, is trying to think about what a method or what approaches would look like when they are scalable in those different areas. And I think one of the things that's really come out in terms of our work to date is how we need to contextualize the climate information in the context of known contexts, in different regional contexts, different time periods with which people are familiar. So trying to move beyond impact assessment to really trying to get it to be a bit more about risk assessment and trying to put that idea of risk into a more robust understanding. And so to date, we've done quite a bit of assessing of different impacts, correlation with different geospatial indicators. That's really where we are now. And then trying to think about what that looks like in terms of having to communicate quite a lot of very technical, complex modeling and spatial analysis into different audiences. So to reach different communities, managers, and other decision makers involved. And that's pretty much where we are at the moment. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Scott. Now it is time to present the Sentinel project. Ildefonso.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hello.
And before starting, I'd like to introduce you on the left side, on the right side of our slide, Val. So Val is 83 years old, and until nowadays, she goes every day to the streets to sell a little bit of her work to sustain her family. And she represents a rich tradition, very rich in terms of flavors and aromas. And we are fortunately enough to buy through the methodology that we are developing Sentinel to identify this very rich case study. This is the first pilot case study where we are applying the theoretical framework together with the new technologies to safeguard cultural heritage in terms of scents and smells. And as you can see here in those pictures is a little bit of our first field trip. And I think that those pictures, they speak more than several words that I could bring here today, because through this methodology, we were able to identify the communities, to talk to the communities, to learn with them. And by learning with them, we are able to identify a rich tapestry of smells and flavors. And right now, we are developing the tools and we're applying those tools to safeguard those smells and flavors. And we hope that by the end of this year, we can share with the scientific community the results of our theoretical framework and put available the data sets, the experimental validation, and disseminate those results. So this is a little bit of news that I'd like to share with you. Thank you all for the opportunity, and very nice to be here with you today.
Thank you, Ildefonso. Next project is the project Sea Change.
Yes, Sea Change. Hello, everyone. My name is Anissa Trianti, and I'm joined by my colleagues Abiyunita, postdoc in our project, and also a researcher from Carrick Conservation Ireland, Ruth Gratterall. So basically, there are three parts of the project. So first, the project assesses the climate risk poses to cultural heritage in coastal areas, and also we juxtapose them with community perceptions. The second, we investigate how heritage practices evolve and also traveled in response to environmental changes. And finally, document how heritage is lived and also practiced in changing conditions, and also archive them in open access repository. We work on international cases in Ireland, UK, the Netherlands, Indonesia, and the Caribbean. And currently we work on data collection on narratives, interviews, participatory mapping, and also storytelling workshops. And I'll give the floor to my colleague for the heritage narratives.
So this is from our research in the Netherlands, where Dutch water expertise, which we conceive of as a manifestation of its heritage of living and struggling against water, is being globalized in times of climate change. So these images tell us about dissonant narratives of Dutch water heritage. The one foregrounded is a commemorative tile housed in the Flood Museum in Zeeland. It's a heritage site where visitors learn of the 1953 flood, the reconstruction that followed, and what this heritage can do to enable delta life in times of climate change. So the message is that Dutch waterworks can help us fight tomorrow's floods. But in the background, we see a reinforced seawall, part of a Dutch-designed flood protection plan for the post-colonial city of Jakarta, collapsing into the Java Sea only several years after construction. So what this picture shows in juxtaposition to the tile is the failure rather than mastery of keeping water out from this former colonial outpost. So I hope that sort of provokes a little bit of thinking about how heritage, a place-based heritage, travels and takes on a different valence in other locations.
And then Ruth, maybe quickly on the last slide.
Yes, we are looking at the Ireland case study. We are looking at 3 historic sites in the southwest Atlantic coast of Ireland. These sites are increasingly at risk due to climate change impacts. There was a previous study done in a climate risk assessment in 2022, and this study is based on that in those results. What we are doing now is, what I think makes this case very interesting are the different governance issue due to the multiple, the diverse values attached to the sites, the different needs the community has regarding the graveyards, and also the multiple ownership. The sites are owned and managed by local authorities, and also local families have owned plots in the graveyards, making this the management and conservation of the sites a very complex system. This is why we are looking at adopting a co-creation approach that will help us to integrate this diversity of values and interests, and also bring together as the diversity of stakeholder groups. Also, coupled with this, we're coupling this approach, the creation approach, with the value-based mediation framework, which is going to help us to structure the discussion and to guide us, the stakeholders, and us as mediators through the participatory process. And at the moment, we are conducting our second participatory activities. It's going to be during the Heritage Week in Kerry in August. So this is us at the moment. So any questions you can ask. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next project is the Susterit project. I don't know if I pronounce it well.
Yes. So my name is Sandra Guinan. I'm an urban geographer at the Institute of Urban and Regional Research at the Austrian Academy of Science, and I'm substituting Robert Musil, the head of the consortium of Susterit, which stands for Strategies for Sustainable European Historic Housing Stock. And if you want to know more about the project, we have put together a nice website. The keywords for Susterit are quite long. Housing as an intangible heritage. By that, we're interested in, to go beyond the housing as an object, but also housing as meaning users, residents, but also actors that manages or refurbish these houses, meaning that there is know-how and practices that is important. Affordable historic housing stock is also an important keyword. The social dimensions around this historic housing stock in the different cities that we are investigating is very important in terms of arrival city, and then climate adaptation and mitigation strategies. So the project focuses on understanding how adaptation of this historic housing stock, holding specific local, technical, urbanistic, and social qualities, can be achieved and supported at the city scale to mitigate climate change. And so we address how cultural heritage may act as a resource for climate adaptation and mitigation. And this means that we look at the potential behind this cultural heritage, but also the obstacles to this climate adaptation. So we have a consortium of we have 5 teams with 5 cities, and within these cities we have selected different neighborhoods in Marseille, Glasgow, Vienna, and Prague. We then collect and analyze best practices. Until now, we have collected data, statistical data, but also conducted content analysis of policy document in order to get this context and be able to compare the different neighborhoods of these cities. So we will analyze the best practices regarding climate change actions in this historic housing stock. And the idea is to create a pan-European toolkit to be implemented for sustainable transformation of historic housing stock. The sustainable dimension, I would like to underline that we also focus very much on the social dimension because the technicalities or the technicities are easy, but then the question of this social dimension is a big issue. And we will test the toolkit in Zurich with a student from the Institute for Preservation and Construction History at the ETH Zurich. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. Now we are continuing with the wrench project.
Yes. Can you hear me? Right?
Yes.
Very good. Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Marco Armiero, and I am the PI of the branch project, and I am here today with several members of our team. There is Ashraf Osman, Bartolomeo Panto, Giussi Pappalardo, and Turgul Ilmat. So branch stands for Whisper of Time, Heritage as Narrative of Climate Change. Narrative reflects our vision of heritage as a tapestry of material and immaterial stories, co-created, inhabited, or forgotten by communities. While community isn't listed as a keyword, it is central, embedded in our participatory planning approach, where heritage becomes a space for community building and engagement. Our interdisciplinary team also investigates the physical degradation of heritage sites under projected climate stress, integrating technical assessment with social inquiry. Branch has two main goals: to persuade policymakers and stakeholders that heritage conservation needs a holistic approach, and to frame heritage as a living platform for community engagement through storytelling and participatory processes. We have also faced some challenges that I want to mention here, especially regarding the budget. One partner is still waiting for the funds, and we have also some cut in the budget that is, of course, also making us think about the deliverable and the planned activities. Anyway, going back to the achievement, we have developed an we have worked internally, and we have developed an anti-harassment policy, data management plan. We run team workshops to share different kind of methodologies. We have co-organized 2 international events in synergy with other projects that are not part of this call. Externally, we launched a survey on climate change and heritage, gathering 111 responses, with 55 agreeing to join focus groups. We have held a focus group with stakeholders at 1 pilot site, which led to a draft of a people's plan for cultural heritage in the age of climate change. Another is scheduled on May 24 in Ragusa. We are also developing, an open access video dictionary on heritage and climate change, now with 21 entries. And the Metropolitan City of Naples has committed to hosting a Mediterranean Forum on Climate and Heritage in September 2026. In terms of synergy areas, we see something around local knowledge, grassroots participation, and climate risk communication, and all are tied by shared emphasis on living heritage and bottom-up approaches. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marco. And I think now our colleague for the Fire Cult project, Yanis Koudouris, is back with us.
I'm so sorry, I got my time zones wrong. So
No problem.
That was really embarrassing. So yeah, thank you very much. I apologize for the delay. Let me just say a couple of words about wildfire resilient cultural heritage. So we start with the observation that fire is nearly everywhere, and each year we have hundreds of thousands of ignitions that we can observe, and perhaps more than that we cannot observe. What burns, how it will burn, and when it will burn will, of course, depend on natural factors, fuel availability, weather, and climate, but also it depends fundamentally on human behavior. More than 90% of ignitions out there in the world are of human origin. So we are particularly interested in this link between human activity, human behavior, and fire. And from a fire science point of view, there isn't fire isn't necessarily bad. There is also good fire, since humans have co-developed with this natural phenomenon. So we try to look at how the disturbance that climate change introduces into this fire human activity interaction might affect tangible and intangible cultural heritage. So in this context, we're doing modeling work to characterize the risk of fire regime change to lifeways, landscapes, and landmarks. We are employing tools from economics to quantify the direct and indirect costs to cultural heritage, and also assess alternative fire management strategies. We hope that we will be in position to facilitate transdisciplinary and cross-cultural knowledge exchange for heritage conservation in the context of changing fire regimes, using the knowledge that we will extract in our 4 case studies in Kenya, Ireland, Turkey, and Italy. And we are also employing arts-based methods to reimagine and reinterpret perhaps this fire human activity relationship. And I think I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yanis, for this last presentation. So I hand over to my colleague Shang-Yun to explain you the next steps. I just relay the call in the chat from our colleague Nicole to share your material for the photo competition. And I don't know, Nicole, if you want to say a few words about this or...
Well, I was just
No?
struck by how
Yes.
many beautiful photos there were in all of your presentations. And I just wanted to raise awareness that there is a Belmont Forum photo competition. The photos will be displayed at the Sustainability Research and Innovation Congress in Chicago. You do not need to be present to submit photos to the photo competition, and you can still win. So please consider, or have your photographers from your teams consider contributing to this conversation, because at the end of the day, the photos are to celebrate the research that is done. And so that is what we use them for. We use them to celebrate your stories, to talk about your projects, to put in social media. And this is one way that we hope that we can, you can get something out of it. We can get something out of it. And most importantly, we are celebrating the fantastic research that's being done through these projects. So please consider that. And we hope to see some of those photos on display in Chicago in person.